This, I hope, will help you think on the guitar fretboard and express your ideas on the guitar fretboard and give you a vocabulary and language that you understand. All right, we're going to talk about chord spelling and function and two other words, consonance and dissonance. Chord spelling is when we take the notes out of a scale and create a chord or an arpeggio in what we call tertian harmony or in thirds, which we did in the last session. And function is different than spelling, and that's a point I wanted to make in this video. Function has to do with how the chords behave dynamically between each other, and that means that we have to look at, well, here's two more words, tension and resolution, as well as consonance and dissonance. So let's jump into intervals. Intervals, that's the word that we use to explain the distance or describe the distance between two notes. The scale I'm using here is a C major scale, just for the sake of simplicity. The root of that scale is a C. The next note of the scale is a D. If we listen to those two notes against each other, the question is that consonant or is that dissonant? So consonant, what the word consonant means is pleasing to the ear, or I prefer a state of resolution. It sounds final. And dissonance is not a state of resolution, it's a state of tension. And I would say that these two intervals, this interval, these two notes, are dissonant, and they require resolution. The name of that interval is a major second. And if I were to play it further up, that's a C to a D, C to a D. Okay, they're a tone apart. So that's rather dissonant. So let's move to a major third, the next note in the scale. Now, I think that everyone would agree that that is not dissonant, so that's quite pleasing. So why don't we go from the major second to the major third? Dissonance, consonance, tension, resolution. Okay, then let's go to the perfect fourth. I won't explain why it's called perfect. It's a long explanation. Suffice to say, it's found in acoustical physics. It's one of the foundational fundamentals in acoustical physics. Okay, and there's my fourth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Some people say this is consonant, but here's the resolution. It wants to resolve back to the 3, right? So we have a major second, a major third, a perfect fourth, and then we just resolve back. And then up to the perfect fifth. That's very consonant. It would be difficult to describe that as dissonant. It's that fifth is in the root chord of C major. Right? And then let's move up to the major 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's consonant as well. But let's just resolve it to the C major. It's a very passive resolution. And then up to the major 7. And I would have to suggest that that is a dissonant interval. It requires resolution. And why don't we just resolve to the perfect octave? I could also do the C to the B here. Right, and then, okay, a few words there, consonance and dissonance, and tension and resolution, and interval, the distance between two notes. Now these intervals can also be compounded, so the perfect eighth can go to a ninth. And then we can go to the 10th, which is consonant, just like the third was, because all of these now, what we're doing here now is taking the major second, and the major second is just, the D is just an octave higher than the D in this with the simple intervals. So C to D is a ninth. C to E is the third. And then we have the perfect 11, perfect 12, major 13, major 14, and perfect 15. So these are all just an octave higher. But these notes, these numbers, I should say, are important when you start to spell chords, right? If I take a simple C major chord, and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and put that tension against the C major chord. So that's an added ninth. If I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there's a C major 7 chord. So the purpose of all of this is to teach you to start to spell and build your chordal vocabulary rather than using pictures, the guitar fretboard diagrams. This is a much more effective way to learn how sounds work. That D that I just played there, the D on top of a C chord, that is a more tense sound. It's a slightly dissonant sound. It's only the rest of the C chord that prevents it from being really, really, more abrasive. And that would, can be resolved because there's still tension there. Major 7, octave, 9, 10. Yeah, so chords are meant to be malleable. They're meant to be able to, you can nuance them, change them, morph them into different sounds, different tensions, and then also always listen for that state of tension or that state of resolution, and naturally the same thing will apply to every chord that you play. But remember that chords are always foundationally planted within scales. So these chords come from scales. These tensions come from scales. We have to start somewhere. And music, since music is not a visual language, it's not a great idea to just take chord pictures and start to stick different chords together without having an understanding of what lies underneath those chords, without having an understanding of tension and resolution, consonance and dissonance, how to spell chords, and so on. This is all the musical language, a language that's been shared for centuries. The same stuff. Mozart would have understood exactly what we're talking about here, as would any musician. So I invite you to think of chords like that, and I would really suggest that you listen to this video until you get to the point where you can explain what an interval is, what consonance is, what dissonance is, and so on, because that all plays a role in chord progression and progression. You know, the word progression means moving forward, and that's what chord progressions have to do, and they only move forward when we have tension and resolution. Tension needs to be resolved. And when we resolve tension, it's essentially a cadence point, or the end of a certain harmonic idea, a certain harmonic phrase, if you will. The same thing happens with single note lines as well. The same thing happens with improvisations. They also move through a state of tension and resolution. If this video was helpful to you, like, subscribe. It helps the algorithm immensely. Buy me a coffee. Buy one of my books, which you can get on Amazon. And please leave a question. I get back to all the questions with fairly lengthy answers. So thanks for stopping by. Thanks for your support, and we'll see you real soon.